Let me tell you something that's going to make half of you click off this video right now. WWE just delivered the most overrated episode of Monday Night Raw in 2025, and everyone's pretending it was amazing just because a few big names showed up. Yeah, I said it. The 3rd of November 2025 was smoke and mirrors, and I'm about to expose exactly why this show was more hype than substance. But before you rage quit and smash that dislike button, hear me out, because buried underneath all the celebrity appearances and flashy entrances, there were moments that actually mattered. The problem is, WWE doesn't want you focusing on those moments. This episode of Raw was marketed as must-see television with promises of shocking returns, championship implications, and career-defining moments. What we got instead was a 3-hour commercial for WrestleMania season that's still months away, mixed with some genuinely great wrestling that got completely overshadowed by backstage drama and social media stunts. And you know what? That's exactly what's wrong with WWE in 2025. Question time. Drop a comment and tell me, would you rather have a show with huge star power and weak matches, or unknown wrestlers delivering 5-star classics? Let's see where the WWE universe really stands. Let's start from the top, because this show opened with what WWE thought was going to break the internet, a face-to-face confrontation between the World Heavyweight Champion and a surprise challenger that literally everyone knew was coming because it was leaked on Twitter 3 days ago. The champion came out, cut the same promo we've heard 15 times this year about being the best and proving doubters wrong, and then out came the challenger to a pop that was honestly disappointing considering this person's legacy. The stare-down lasted about 7 minutes. 7 minutes of two people just looking at each other while Michael Cole screamed about how historic this moment was. No physicality, no chair shots, no table breaks, just standing and staring, and the crowd started chanting boring by minute 5. But here's the kicker, social media was calling it incredible storytelling and building tension. Are we watching the same show? Since when did standing around doing nothing become peak entertainment? But then, and this is where it gets interesting, the segment was interrupted by a faction that's been absolutely on fire for the last 2 months. These guys stormed the ring, beat down both the champion and the challenger, and stood tall holding both titles above their heads. That was the moment that should have opened the show. That was the statement. But instead, we had to sit through 7 minutes of awkward silence first. Quick trivia, name the faction that's been dominating Raw for the past 2 months. If you know, you know. Drop it in the comments. Moving into the first match of the night, and this is where my blood pressure started rising. We got a women's division match that had the potential to steal the entire show, featuring 2 of the most talented female wrestlers on the planet. These women have been feuding for weeks, the story was personal, the stakes were high, and WWE gave them exactly 8 minutes. 8 minutes, including entrances. You know what else got 8 minutes? A backstage segment with a celebrity guest who can't wrestle promoting their new movie. Let that sink in. 2 elite athletes who've dedicated their lives to this craft got the same amount of time as someone's movie advertisement. And people wonder why I get frustrated with modern WWE booking. But here's the thing that really grinds my gears, in those 8 minutes, these women delivered an absolute banger. Crisp strikes, smooth transitions, near falls that had the crowd on their feet, and a finish that nobody saw coming. The winner celebrated for about 10 seconds before we immediately cut to commercial. No post-match interview, no storyline continuation, just straight to an ad for car insurance. That match deserved 20 minutes and a main event slot, but instead it was treated like a bathroom break. The disrespect to the women's division continues, and yet WWE keeps patting themselves on the back for revolutionizing women's wrestling. You want to revolutionize it? Give them time. Give them storylines that don't revolve around romantic triangles or stolen accessories. Give them the respect they've earned. Real talk question, should women's matches always get equal time to men's matches, or should it depend on the storyline? I want honest answers in the comments, no virtue signaling. Next up was a United States Championship match that had 0 build, 0 storyline, and was apparently thrown together because the original match got scrapped due to an injury. The champion defended against a mid-carder who hasn't won a meaningful match since July, and somehow this went 15 minutes. The match itself was fine, textbook WWE style, lots of rest holds and false finishes, but there was 0 heat from the crowd because nobody cared about the outcome. The champion retained with a roll-up. A roll-up, in a championship match, in 2025, because apparently we've learned nothing from the past 20 years of fans complaining about roll-up finishes. The crowd actually booed the finish, not because they wanted the challenger to win, but because they felt cheated out of a real conclusion. And you know what happened after? The champion grabbed the mic and challenged another random wrestler for next week. This is the problem with modern WWE Championship booking. Titles don't mean anything anymore because champions defend against random opponents with no build every single week. There's no prestige, no importance, no feeling that these titles are worth fighting for. They are just props that get passed around to whoever WWE thinks can generate a trending hashtag. Then we got to the segment that has wrestling Twitter absolutely divided, and this is where I'm going to lose some subscribers. A legend, and I mean a true legend of this business, someone who's done it all and earned every bit of respect they get, came back for what was advertised as a major announcement. The crowd went absolutely insane, chanting this person's name for a solid 3 minutes. And then they announced they are hosting WrestleMania. That's it, they are hosting. Not wrestling, not managing, not involved in any storyline. Just hosting. Standing on a stage, introducing matches, reading scripted jokes written by a team of writers who think fart jokes are peak comedy. This legend, who can still go in the ring, who could put over young talent, who could have meaningful feuds, is being reduced to a glorified ring announcer. Controversial opinion incoming: should legends stay retired, or is there still value in bringing them back for special appearances? Comment your stance, and be ready to defend it. The social media reaction was split down the middle. Half the fans were thrilled just to see this legend on their TV. The other half, myself included, were screaming at our screens because this is a waste. This is WWE playing it safe, getting a pop from the crowd without actually doing anything meaningful with it. It's nostalgia bait, pure and simple, but buried in the middle of the show. Around the second hour, when viewership traditionally dips, we got what might be the match of the year candidate. Two guys who've been grinding on the mid-card, putting in work week after week without complaining, without demanding better spots, just showing up and performing, got 22 minutes to tell a story. And they delivered. This wasn't a spot fest with 100 finisher kickouts. This wasn't a look at me exhibition. This was old school psychology mixed with modern athleticism. These guys worked holds that meant something, sold injuries throughout the entire match, built to crescendos that had the crowd chanting "this is awesome," and delivered a finish that made perfect sense within the context of their storyline. The winner didn't celebrate excessively. They showed respect to their opponent, helped them up, shook their hand, and left. That's it. Simple, effective storytelling that reminded everyone why we fell in love with wrestling in the first place. And you know how much attention this match is getting? Almost none. Because it wasn't a celebrity appearance or a returning legend or a social media controversy. It was just great wrestling, and apparently, that's not enough anymore. Trivia question: without looking it up, how many 5-star matches has WWE had in 2025? Take a guess in the comments. The Tag Team Championship match was next, and this is where things got genuinely controversial. The champions, who've held the titles for almost 6 months and have had incredible matches with every team on the roster, were defending against challengers who literally just formed 2 weeks ago. Two random singles wrestlers thrown together with no chemistry, no history, no reason to believe they could function as a unit. And they won. The new team won the titles in their first match together, because WWE saw a viral TikTok of these two guys doing a handshake backstage and decided that's enough reason to make them champions. The match was sloppy, mistimed, and the finish came after the challengers hit their finisher, which was just a normal suplex followed by a normal splash. Nothing special, nothing memorable, but hey, it'll trend on Twitter for 6 hours, so mission accomplished, right? The former champions looked absolutely devastated in the ring, and you could tell this wasn't a work. These guys put in work to make those titles mean something, defending them with pride, having great matches, elevating every team they faced, and they lost them to a couple of guys who met at catering 2 Mondays ago. The disrespect to tag team wrestling continues. We then got a promo segment from someone who's being positioned as the next big thing in WWE, and let me tell you, the coronation is premature. This person came out, talked about how they are the future of this industry and how everyone else is living in the past, which would be fine if they had the resume to back it up. But they don't. They've been on the main roster for 6 months, they've won exactly 3 notable matches, and suddenly they are cutting promos like they are Stone Cold Steve Austin. The crowd was silent. Not booing, not cheering, just silent. That's worse than getting heat. That's apathy. That's the audience telling you they don't care. But WWE is going to push this person to the moon regardless because they fit a certain demographic and check certain boxes that corporate sponsors like. Never mind that there are 10 other wrestlers in the back who are more talented, more charismatic, and more over with the crowd. Those people don't trend the right way on social media. Final question, who's someone currently on the Raw roster that deserves a world title push but will probably never get one? Give me your most slept on wrestler in the comments. The main event was the match everyone was talking about, the one I started this video discussing, Logan Paul and The Vision absolutely destroying Punk and Jey Uso. And yes, it was a fantastic match. The storytelling was there, the action was crisp, the finish was clean. Logan Paul looked like a legitimate main eventer, Punk looked vulnerable for the first time in years, and the crowd was molten hot for the entire 25 minutes. But here's my issue with making this the main event, it overshadowed everything else on the show. That incredible mid-card match I mentioned? Forgotten. The women tearing the house down in 8 minutes? Nobody's talking about it. The controversial tag title change? Old news. Everything became about whether Logan Paul is the future and whether Punk is washed, and all the actual wrestling that happened got buried. This is modern WWE in a nutshell. A few moments of genuine greatness drowning in a sea of overproduced, overhyped, corporate-approved content designed to generate social media engagement rather than create memorable wrestling moments. The 3rd of November 2025 could have been an all-time great episode of Raw. Instead, it was just another Monday night where we got glimpses of brilliance surrounded by frustrating decisions. The show ended with Logan Paul standing tall, holding up the bloodline symbol while The Vision celebrated around him, and Punk and Jey Uso were left laying in the ring. The commentary team sold it like the end of an era, fans were crying in the crowd, and social media immediately started debating whether this was the greatest Raw of all time or a disgrace to wrestling tradition. Me? I'm somewhere in the middle. I can appreciate the good while acknowledging the bad. I can enjoy Logan Paul's improvement while questioning why established stars are being made to look weak. I can celebrate great matches while criticizing awful booking decisions. That's what being a real fan means, not blindly defending everything WWE does or mindlessly hating everything for clicks. So here's my final take on Raw, the 3rd of November 2025. It was a show with incredible potential that delivered in spurts but ultimately fell victim to the same problems that have plagued WWE for years. Too much focus on celebrity and spectacle, not enough focus on the wrestlers who show up every week and pour their hearts into this business. Like this video if you made it to the end, subscribe to Wrestling Zone 1 for more unfiltered